Hello, welcome to another video by Rick Miracle, me, in my series Freemasonry and Satanism, number 81. This ought to be a very interesting video. The book review is going to be largely about reptilians, gray aliens, dragons, serpents, shapeshifters. Strange beings on planet Earth. Are they the creatures behind the Illuminati, the symbols at the Vatican, the Zionism, the secret rulers of the world? Blue Blood, True Blood, Conflict and Creation by Stewart Swerdlow. Here in downtown Asheville. You can see the city street there. We just had a snowstorm. 24th of January, today, Sunday, 2016. A couple great football games on today that I'll check out. At a friend's condo downtown. She went to Miami and asked me to take care of the place. Feed the fish. So I thought it'd be a good location to make another video and maybe a tour of downtown and show some things I think that are interesting, apropos to this conversation and this video. So what I'm going to start out now is the Illuminati hierarchy. Reading my highlighted portion. I have read all this. You can see all my yellow highlighted material. But I thought to jump right into this Illuminati. Aliens, UFOs, reptilians, gray aliens, ghosts, demons as in the Bible, unclean spirits, Satan, Lucifer. What is the Mystery School of Babylon, the Masonic lodges? Rosicrucians, witchcraft, abducting people, sacrificing them, drinking the blood, according to a lot of research out there, eating the flesh. Who are these creatures? Blue blood, true blood. All right. The leader of the Earth's Illuminati is called the Pindar. And I think Arizona Wilder, on the Alex Jones video, where he interviews Arizona Wilder, she was a part of the Illuminati and witnessed the presence of Pindar and the satanic rituals sacrificing a victim to death, which, by the way, in Rabbi Marvin Antleman's book, Hitler's Diary, had some information in there where I mentioned this in previous videos. They abducted a gypsy man in Munich, Germany, laid him on an altar and sacrificed him to bring forth an interdimensional spirit, I guess, to impregnate a girl laying on the adjoining altar. Looks like we got a little fire truck here. Downtown Asheville. You can see all the snow is melting. We had a nice little storm. A lot of snow, so much for global warming. Weather seems quite normal to me. I've seen snowstorms all my life. So anyways, starting out at chapter 15, the leader of the Earth's Illuminati is called the Pindar. The Pindar is a member of one of the 13 ruling Illuminati families, and is always a male. The title Pindar is an abbreviated term for pinnacle of the Draco. That would be maybe short for dragon, which would be a reptilian. Remember, Satan in the Garden of Eden was a snake, was a reptilian. Symbols from everywhere from Peru to the American Indians, Mayans, Chinese, And the symbol for Zionism, the Jews, is the snake. The common denominators keep revealing themselves. Also known as the penis of the dragon. Yeah, we got another screaming emergency vehicle here, downtown Asheville. Never been to Asheville, you need to go visit. Fun place. So the Pindar is an abbreviated term for the pinnacle of the dragon, also known as the penis of the dragon. And we know the symbol for the Masonic lodges and the Illuminati is an obelisk. And a lot of city downtown squares have the obelisk, which would be the penis of the dragon. Symbolically, this represents the top of power, control, creation, penetration, expansion, invasion, and fear. The holder of this rank reports to the purebred reptilian leader in the inner earth. Now, as I read Stewart Swerdlow's material here, I'm not necessarily believing everything I read, but it's interesting to get his point of view, or his version of reality, when we compare to the other books that I've read, the UFO books, alien book, abduction books, Aleister Crowley, and Hiawas, the interdimensional being that was advising him, who he drew a picture of, who looked like a gray alien. The creatures in the Roswell crash that I took pictures of when I went to Roswell look like gray aliens. So is all this real? If it is real, what does it mean? What do they want? The true current Pindar is the head of the Rothschilds family. Well, the Rothschilds family, and the Rockefeller, Chases, Morgans, Schiffs, and many others, of the Illuminati. Who is the Illuminati? What is the Illuminati? Do they control the Vatican, or does the Vatican control the Illuminati? Zionists, are they part of the Illuminati? Is it basically 13 ruling families, maybe one over there in Israel, one over there in the Vatican, one over there in Germany, one over here in the United States like the Rockefellers, one family controlling South America, one family controlling China, Asia? But when they have a common concern about the people discovering who they are, then they unite together to fight against the people. And apparently now, with the New World Order, United Nations, New Age, the gay agenda, the agenda to destroy Christianity, apparently they have united together. Jade Helm, biodiversity, sustainability, terrorism. All right. So the current leader of the Pindar is the Rothschild family, and has been for several hundred years. Interestingly enough, Adam Weishaupt announced the creation, or the presence, of the Illuminati in 1776, which was the same year that the United States declared independence in 1776, with Washington, D.C. having all kinds of symbols of the Illuminati, the Mason lodges. The whole street plan looks like a gigantic owl, and if you look on the telephone pole with the little maps of the downtown area in Washington, D.C., it even makes fun of the shape of the owl. It shows you where the subway entrances are and other buildings. So it's obvious. Acknowledge it. It's not hidden. In the late 1970s, he oversaw the sister project of Montauk. Remember, this series, since 73 to now 81, has been the Peter Moon, Project Montauk, Preston Nichols, Duncan Cameron, and many others, Mind Control, the Philadelphia experiment, putting electromagnetic transmitters around the ship, and it disappeared and apparently traveled in time and back again, with people in and half out of the bulkheads when it reappeared. A horrible situation. And Stewart Swerdlow was involved in that project on the early on as an abducted young man trained at Project Montauk and apparently sent in time to different locations. He was a psychic. So like Aleister Crowley or Albert Pike, who wrote Morals and Dogma, the Bible for the Freemasons, they were all psychic and apparently incommunicado with interdimensional beings. Demonic beings, unclean spirits, angels, reptilians, greys. Anyways, so they had a project called MALDA, is an anagram for Montauk, Alsace, Lorraine, Dimensional Activation. Dimensional Activation. So they are opening up, according to the material I've been researching, interdimensional portals to allow these beings into this dimension, and maybe allowing beings from this dimension to go in other dimensions, or forward in time and back in time. Again, we don't have to believe all of this, but it's an interesting conversation when you compare it to other evidence. Interestingly, there is a winery on the east end of Long Island, not far from Montauk Point, called Pindar Vineyards. So the coincidences never stop. This fits nicely into the plan, as this area will be a part of the capital district of the Earth United Nations in the Empire State. Remember, New York State is called the Empire State. And over there in Britain, it's the British Empire. In Germany, it was the German Empire. Russian Empire. Or Kingdom of Italy, or Kingdom of Spain. Were these families, the heads, kings and queens, this alternate reptilian DNA that feasted on other humans, drank their blood to maintain their physical form as a human, eating flesh, sexual rituals. The wine can be sanctified, as it did in the Roman Catholic Church, a patsy for the reptilians. So they're saying the Catholic Church is a patsy for the reptilians. Red wine is symbolic of the blood ingested by the reptilians. So red wine is a symbolic of the blood when they sacrifice a victim, that they drink of victims. Arizona Wilder, interviewed by David Icke, I-C-K-E. Go look it up. They explain it quite thoroughly. And many others who have been part of the Illuminati. Fritz Springmeier, Todd Long, Todd Long? You can just look it up. There's a lot of people who were witnesses, abductees who escaped. Miles Johnston, the Bases series, many books, many in my videos, over and over and over, we're going over this stuff with many different books. The Illuminati here on Earth have established a pyramid structure of control identical to the system that exists in the Draco Empire. The pyramid with the reptilian eye, located on the American $1 bill, is symbolic of this control structure. And we know that Isis was the goddess married to Osiris in the Egyptian religion. And if you look at the hieroglyphics, they have these beings with bird heads, who was Horus, represents Horus, who was the child of Isis and Osiris. And then we have the hieroglyphics of beings with cat heads. Strange. And then reptilian creatures. Let's go look at the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Go to the library and just peruse a book. You'll see all this stuff. Where they weren't just making it up. It's in the Atlantean history. It's in the Mayan hieroglyphics, Peruvian, Ecuador. Eric von Donovich, who went up there into one of the caves and found those sheets of gold with all those images on it. On stone and mountains in the Midwest in the United States. Lots of this same symbolism and images in China. Russia, Germany, Romania, Europe, England, India, worldwide. Even the book I went over about Sirius B, the star system, in an African tribe in central North Africa. Something's interesting here. Try to find out what it is. So they got a control system that exists in the Draco Empire. So apparently in another star system called the Draco star system, there is a Draco Empire. And apparently, according to Stewart Swerdlow, these creatures and competitive from other star systems, Sirius B, they came here and mixed their DNA with the humans on the planet and created different versions of humans to control and enslave. And they want to control and own all the people and the resources on planet Earth. And again, we don't have to believe all this stuff. But it's a book review. I read it. The eye is on the cap of the pyramid, thus explaining why the original surface of the Great Pyramid in Egypt was capped in solid gold. Alright, and this book, page 62. The Pindar is represented by a gold cap on the pyramid. The next layer, or eye, on the pyramid represents the 13 ruling families. They are as follows. So the eye on the dollar bill maybe is represented by the 13 Illuminati families who rule the earth, control the banks, who are causing all these terrorist situations. Apparently, they keep on showing us evidence they're going to crash the money system, the banking system. There's one video out there that I've been seeing advertised quite often, that they're supposed to be coming out with a cashless society. I guess people will have to be microchipped as per the Bible. 666, mark of the beast. Is the beast the reptilian Draco empire beings? The satanic beings, maybe in the Bible, who were kicked out of heaven. Somehow all this has to go together. So anyway, it says here, the Rothschilds, Bruce, Cavendish, Kennedy, Demesia, Hanover, Habsburg, Krupp, Plantagenet, Rockefeller, Romanoff, Sinclair, Warburg, Windsor, that would be the Queen of England, each of the 13 ruling families is given an area of the earth or a particular function to fulfill on the earth. These particular functions include global finances, military technology, development, mind control, religion, and media. Each of the 13 ruling families has a council of 13 as well. So there's 13 ruling families with Pindar in charge, represented by the penis, which was represented as the obelisk in every downtown square you go to, the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., and one in front of the Vatican. They're all over the world. Some kind of strange creatures running things behind the scenes. And even in witchcraft covens, the number is usually 13. And on the tarot card, 13 is the death card. On the U.S. dollar bill, there's 13 arrows in the eagle's hand, 13 of those peace symbols, 13 stars. Look at it. 13, 13, 13, 13, 13. Why? The totality of the 12 energies equals a 13th energy. This is considered the most powerful knowledge. They also know that there are really 13 zodiac signs, not the commonly acknowledged 12. And I've been aware of this for quite a while. They have kept the 13 hidden for centuries because it is the sign of the dragon. Remember this. The dragon. Throughout history, they were slaying dragons. The knights in armor with long spears, slaying the dragon. Did these dragons, these entities, interbreed with humans so they could go about in disguise shapeshift, appear to be human. And if you look at a lot of ancient pictures, they're shrouded with these hoodies, and we'll look at that again. I'm going to take a little tour downtown for this video and show all these symbols on the downtown buildings. The next layer is the second in command families, who do the support work for the Pindar and the 13 ruling families. So you got the Pindar, the head of it, the reptilian. The 13 ruling Illuminati families, Rothschild, Rockefeller, Morgan, Chases, all these people. And then under them you have leaders. I suspect they're a lot of the people in the Masonic lodges, Rosicrucian and other Council of Foreign Relations. But apparently there's 300 of them. And they're after the 13th ruling families. It's the next layer, the second in command, who do the support work for the Pindar and the 13 ruling families. While all of the 13 ruling family members are shapeshifters, remember, we'll see that Arizona Wilder interview with David Icke, and she explains even the queen, when they have the rituals, shapeshifts into a dragon form, and apparently, according to that video and other information, viciously attacks a victim and eats them like a wolf. All members of the 300 supporting families are not shapeshifters. They do, however, have a high percentage of the reptilian DNA. They are known as the Committee of 300. I have a book called the Committee of 300. We'll have to read that and go over it. These families include such notable names as Anginelli, Belloni, Beale, Bell, Bolivar, Bush, Cameron, Campbell, Carnegie, Carrington, Coolidge, Delano, Douglas, Ford, Gardner, Graham, Hamilton, Harriman, Heinz, Kuhn, Lindsay, Loeb, Mellon, Montgomery, Morgan, Norman, Oppenheimer, Rhodes, Roosevelt, Russell, Savoy, Schiff, Seton, Spencer, Stewart, Taft, Wilson, and there are many others. The Committee of 300 used many well-known institutions to accomplish their goals, including the Council of Foreign Relations, Bilderberger's Trilateral Commission, Club of Rome, all these things I've mentioned many times. Royal Institute for International Affairs, Mafia, CIA, NSA, Mossad, Secret Service, International Money Fund, Federal Reserve, International Revenue Service, Internal Revenue Service, and Interpol, to name a few. Now remember, I'm only reading a portion of this book. Go buy this book. Give credit where credit is due. You don't have to believe everything, but there is going to be some coincidences revealed in this video. All of these are private organizations or corporations set up as public service devices, but this is far from the truth. We all know this. The Illuminati structure also creates artificial countries to further their goals. Examples of these are the United States, Switzerland. Strange things going on in Switzerland. Isn't that where CERN is, the collider? On the French, Swiss-Franc border, French, in Geneva, which was apparently the home of the Illuminati for centuries, and apparently where the Frankenstein myth came from. And they got Shiva, the statue, the goddess of destruction. And the symbol for CERN is 3 6s. The mark of the beast. Soviet Union, Panama, Israel, Italy, Yugoslavia, the United Kingdom, and most of Black Africa and all of the Arab countries and all of Central and South America. These nations were created to amass wealth for the ruling families and their supporters to hide and keep their wealth and to create unstable conditions necessary to start wars or increase military budgets. Well, sounds like the world we're living in. If Stewart Swerdlow's information here in this chapter is all true. Switzerland was created as a neutral banking center so that Illuminati families would have a safe place to keep their funds without fear of destruction from wars and prying eyes. The United States was established with the 13 colonies. Here we go, 13 again. The death card and the terror card. 13 witches make up a coven. One for each of the Illuminati families. 13 Illuminati families. I guess that would be a super witchcraft coven. And the guy in charge would be the Pindar, the reptilian, with pure blood reptilian maybe. Again, Satan in the Garden of Eden was a snake, a reptilian. The eagle, the symbol of the United States, holds 13 arrows in its talons. Look on the back of the dollar bill. The United States was actually a corporate asset of the Virginia Company that was established in 1604 in England with direct involvement of the Rothschilds. Stuff they don't teach you in history in school. The assets of the Virginia Company, including the United States, are owned by the Holy Roman Empire via the Vatican. This occurred in 1213 when King James gave all English assets to the reptilian pope. So are these popes reptilian leaders? Makes us wonder about the Jesuit current pope. And the Jesuits are supposed to be the military arm of the Vatican, the enforcers, the assassins. I saw a couple of videos where they were promoting them as great heroes of history, doing all kinds of good things on planet Earth. They do a lot of that. I was having breakfast today in a cafe downtown here. And there was a little magazine on the counter by Time magazine called Conspiracy Theories. So while I was eating my breakfast, I reviewed some of the stories in the magazine. You can probably go see it on the shelf at the store when you go shopping for groceries. But I saw that they were sugarcoating all of the conspiracy theories. Even the HARP system, the microwave transmitter in Alaska. They said that was shut down in 2014 because the power generators didn't meet the standards for pollution up there in the boondocks of Alaska. How bizarre is that? They failed to mention the other half a dozen or more HARP systems all over the world. If you go look up HARP and images on Yahoo search, there's a map that shows you. So why the lie that they shut it down? And I read the other conspiracy theories in that Time magazine. They were excusing and sugarcoating and leading. You have to, when you read these things, you got to look at the language. But they were dismissing every conspiracy theory out there. Kennedy killing, Oklahoma City bombing, 9/11. So, you know, Time magazine as well as all the other newspapers. And media, TV, radio, even Hollywood, the movies and TV programming, it's all meant for mind control, as I keep saying. Control the public opinion. The United States of America was not named after Amerigo Vespucci. So I guess some people think America is named after Amerigo Vespucci. But according to Stewart Swerdlow, that is not the case. The name is actually a combination of words. AM, for America, is the Hebrew word for people. AME is also the command form of the Spanish Latin verb to love. ERI, Amera, or ARI, is the Hebrew term for lion. Remember, lion is a symbol for the Illuminati. The crest on the Rothschilds, if you go look up Rothschilds images, you will see that. Rica is the feminine form of the Spanish word for rich. Ka is the ancient Egyptian word for soul, or spirit force within a body. So as I keep saying, we are spiritual beings in these biological bodies. A lot of people will acknowledge that. If they do any research into psychic research, ghost, read, there's thousands of books out there. History's full of this information. There's people published big, thick volumes of books this thick. For example, over there in England, maybe there was a son who was sent to Germany to fight in a war, and he got killed. And they didn't have telephones or telegraphs. All the mail was by courier, by ponies or carriages. But anyways, in one of the stories of many thousands, and I've read a lot, the image, the ghost, the spirit of this male, young man, appeared at his mother's bedside back in England to say goodbye, that he had been killed in the war in Germany. She woke up at night and there was his ghostly image. Weeks later, the carriage came with the mail. And the man said, "I have some bad news for you." And she goes, "I know." So there's just, even with the Peruvians taking the ashwagandha drug vine, going into trances. I showed pictures of that. And going into other dimensions and getting cures, recipes, herbs, whatever, and how to make them to come back into this reality to cure one of the tribe's people who were sick. Maybe a young girl had a particular ailment. So the shaman would take the drug and go into a trance. And one of those shamans, in the book I showed, and I'll show it again in future videos, was a pretty good guy at drawing art. And a professor from North America who was down there doing research brought the shaman some supplies, and he drew the images of what he saw when he was in that trance that I've showed on previous videos. Fantastic material. And again, we have the snake symbolism, the reptilians. There's no doubt about it in the Chinese religion. Go to a Chinese restaurant, just look around you. The Hindu religion. The Christian religion, when you look at the paintings. There are two layers of meanings. The ancient Hebrew Egyptian translates to say, "The people of the lion with the spirit force." So what are we humans? They say we have some reptilian characteristics. So is there, did these creatures come from another dimension? We're here. You can't deny that. And if you go to a hospital and you talk to nurses and doctors, they'll say some kind of energy field leaves the body. Or people who have died on the operating table and brought back to life will tell stories of the other side. So we're spiritual beings. And of course we have a lot of animal characteristics: teeth, nose, ears, eyes. Just look at a deer, a dog, a cat. Red blood, liver, heart, lungs. And then, of course, in the Bible, God made man in his image. So anyways, these secret societies is of what is concerned in this series, Freemasonry and Satanism. Who's running things behind the scenes and deceiving and using we the people, sheeple. They think of us as cattle, according to the Zionist Goyim, and the Freemasons think of us as profane. H.G. Wells says we're animals not to be trusted. All right, continuing on. The ancient Hebrew Egyptian translates to say, "The people of the lion with spirit force." Hence the pyramid and all-seeing eye on the dollar bill. The Latinized version translates to say, "Love riches," in a feminized physical reality way. This gives an idea of what they had in mind. Apparently there's a blend of the human Lyri with reptilian Draco DNA Perhaps the anagram LSD, an Illuminati-created drug, has a hidden meaning as well. Remember, they did the Vietnam War to bring about a social change in the USA and the world, and introduce the American people into the LSD-type drugs. And of course, they feed a lot of people, supply the marijuana, beer, wine, liquor, even social services in the form of welfare checks and food stamps to appease the masses. But the problem with this is, for those of the people who are not thinking, is when they cut that stuff off, the welfare checks, the food stamps, or they create some kind of event, a false flag, a nuclear explosion, financial collapse, cashless society, take the mark of the beast, as per the Bible, which apparently when you take this chip, it's me theorizing, it has some kind of frequency control. One, it can track you. Two, it can kill you, make you sick. Three, it can mind control you. And number four, the worst thing it can do, is apparently it inhibits your soul from going to heaven when you die. That's what it says in the Bible. So above all things, don't take the mark of the beast whenever they do what they're going to do. And they want to disarm Americans, as Obama has said recently. That's just a prelude for a coming world revolution. They want the people disarmed. They want a lesser of a battle. They want an edge. And they have all kinds of insidious, insane weapons. Even bioweapons, plagues, viruses. Insanity. But apparently, like killing roaches or ants, you just spray them. It makes one wonder about this sky spraying that you can look up and see almost any day. Who knows on what day whatever they could put into that concoction of stuff being dumped. Look up some videos and see some of the gruesome stories. Back to the book. An Illuminati-created drug has a hidden meaning as well. The combination of these three civilizations would produce the most powerful technological empire ever known. So this new world order, run by the Pindar, controlled by the 13 Illuminati family, which they plan on slicing up the planet into maybe 13 or 10 different areas. And then under them is the Committee of 300. And like in Africa, all the gold mines, according to another video I read, and I don't believe everything I read or see, but there have been some famous people, which you can look that up, which is an interesting topic. What famous people have said about the Jews. Just look that up. What famous people have said about the Jews. From popes, kings, queens, CEOs, all kinds of people disclosing this stuff. The 97 countries that have expelled the Jews over the last couple thousand years. So when I say Jews, of course, I don't mean all Jews. But one wonders, with the Kabbalah, magic, witchcraft, occult, Rosicrucian, is this some kind of communicato? And are a lot of these people into the reptilian Illuminati rituals? And do they have the DNA? Remember, these people, throughout history, these Jewish people, were advisors to kings and queens, and a lot of elites in the Vatican control the money for thousands of years. Everybody knows this. And a lot of Jews who were Bible-believing Jewish people who didn't want to go with the Zionist program and wanted to stick with God's law, the Ten Commandments that Moses brought down from the mountain to the Hebrews. When they, while he was gone, had collected all the gold and built a golden calf and were doing one of the Egyptian pagan rituals, I guess a drunken sexual orgy, and a ritual. Sex has a lot to do with this. The gay agenda, the transvestites, bisexual, pansexual, have sex with anything. Pedophilia, they're into this. They want to bring about a change. And apparently it goes all the way up to this Illuminati, reptilian, Pindar, New Age, New World Order, the obelisk down at the city square, gargoyles on the building, other creatures on the building. Go to your old downtown area, there must be one near you, to one of the older, bigger cities, and look at some of the buildings built in 1910, 1880, 1921 by the Masons. Look at the symbols. So the combination of these three civilizations would produce the most powerful technological empire ever known. In 1776, the creation of the United States as an independent nation coincided with the declaration into public existence of the official Illuminati organization by member Adam Wusthof in Bavaria. Publicly, Mr. Wusthof appeared to be determined to create an organization comprised of the European elite that would uplift mankind. I believe Adam Wusthof, was operating at the behest of Rothschild, who apparently is at the top of the pyramid, the Pindar, the reptilian. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that people seem to think that they're capturing some of these elites in our world, movie stars, TV announcers, politicians, who apparently happen to shapeshift in and out of reptilian characteristics back into human form if they're apparently not paying attention to themselves. The United States was the device to be used to bring the Illuminati into public acceptance. And we all know with the UFO alien thing, there's a lot of evidence out there that suggests that they're going to try to introduce these aliens to the public as creatures that have been here all along and are looking out for our interests to benefit mankind. I would highly suspect people be suspicious of this. Current Illuminati members believe that Adam Wusthof was a look-alike for George Washington, and that is actually Wushtof's image that appears on the $1 bill. A lot of deception, including, I think, the what they tell us in the news of the threat of overpopulation. 6 billion, 7 billion, 9 billion by 2030 or something. The fear-mongering. We all know they do that. I don't think there's 6 billion. According to my little intuitive psychic investigation. Right or wrong, I'm just telling you. And, you know, when I use a pendulum or use rods to find water, dreams I've had, things, there's 1,230,000,000 thereabouts million. A far cry from 6 billion. Think about that. If it's true. They've lied about everything else. Why should we believe the 6 or 7 billion? They're pumping on us, pushing on us the sustainability, making half of America off limits for humans to go into the forest, and a buffer zone around that. And if anybody thinks they're going to stop there, I've got some swampland in Florida, I'll say. The biodiversity. These ruling families are going to control all the Earth's natural resources. They don't want us citizens, just like that Bundy Ranch thing going on now, and many other situations worldwide. These Illuminati may be reptilian creatures operating behind the scenes. Do not want us to be free. We're to be slaves. Hunger Games movies show seemingly what they plan. Divergent. Many of the movies. Cartoons. Go sit down and watch your kids' cartoons with your kids. You'll be a little shocked what they're telling your kids. Mind control. George Washington was a wealthy slave and plantation owner. A lot of people know that. Go buy Stewart Swerdlow's book. I'm not trying to read a book. Give credit where credit is due. Lot of information. I just jumped up ahead to this 15th chapter. I didn't even go to the first 14. The 13 ruling Illuminati families consistently vie for control amongst themselves. So they're kind of competitive with each other. All of them want to be the head leader. And so we people are the pawns, like in a chess game. We go into battle, taking our weapons, the swords and guns, raging against the enemy, because our leaders say that they're evil. And the enemy, their troops are raging against us with swords and grenades and machine guns and tanks and jets, incinerating our soldiers, because their leaders say that we're evil. The people are all pawns in this game. These Illuminati creatures enjoy this chess game of reality. Just wonder how long it's going to take for people to wake up. George, you'll see, George Washington is known to have raped some of his female slaves and used some of the male slaves in ritualistic ceremony. So was George Washington one of these half-reptilian DNA creatures, shapeshifter, and had to do these ritual ceremonies? And then with these sacrificial ritual ceremonies, there's a few things they do. Besides the euphoric thing they do by completely terrorizing a victim with sex, male or female. And then, at that point, the blood has some kind of hormone released into it when you're terrorized. So when they drink that blood with the hormone in it, they get some kind of high, like a drug high, like a human being drinking a glass of beer or wine. And apparently it allows them to intercommunicate in dimensions. And eating the flesh, apparently these creatures, that helps them to maintain their hybrid reptilian human form. I'm just theorizing from doing all this research what it seems like. There is a comment section on this video. If you've got any evidence to support this or some thoughts without being ugly about it, let me know. I'm not saying to believe this, but I'm saying if you look around, it seems to be the case, as we shall see soon in this video. The 13 ruling Illuminati families consistently vie for control amongst themselves. As I just said, during this time period, the Spanish, British, French Illuminati all fought to win control over North and South America. And we know the properties of North and South America have been fought over in the last 300 or 400 or 500 years. A lot of North America was controlled by the Spanish Empire. Then they had the American-Spanish War. And the Portuguese controlled Brazil. And so these families, if one thinks about it, everything I'm saying in this video, and Stewart Swerdlow's book, seems to match. The people don't know anything the better. The Rothschilds keep these Illuminati factions in line. So the Pindar, the head of the Illuminati, which has a higher DNA reptilian bloodline, blue blood, and can shapeshift into a reptilian or human, keeps all the other Illuminati families in line who are competing with each other for control over vast resources on the earth, according to this book and other material. The Rothschilds keep these Illuminati factions in line by sending hastened troops to monitor the situation. The leaders enjoyed these war games, pitting one against the other to see who would win. The hundreds of thousands of millions of lives lost were meaningless to them. I remember that, according to Albert Pike, in his letter to Mazzini back in 1880-something, said that there would be required 3 world wars to bring about the New World Order. The manifest destiny of the United States was created to expand the territory of the Aryans at the expense of the native populations. As always, the Illuminati seek to destroy native peoples and their cultures. Especially important is their need to eliminate native cultures with ancient knowledge of Atlantis and Lareria. So again, I keep thinking about all the material that I've been studying. In the Library of Alexandria, a huge library over there in Greece, and the Vatican went in there and burned all the books. In the Crusades, when they went to Mexico City, and all over the world, the first thing the Crusaders did with the big banner from the Vatican, marching in there, go to the shaman's hut and get his information on native cultures with ancient knowledge, destroy it, take it, and kill him, then proceed to kill the natives and steal all their gold to take back to Europe. Not very nice entities in control, you think? The Montauk, direct descendants of the Atlanteans, who call their leader Pharaoh, were systematically eliminated. So here we go again. Montauk was at the end of Long Island, the underground facility where they were abducting young boys all over New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, everywhere, Connecticut, mind controlling them, opening up some kind of time portals, putting these young boys in there. Stewart Swerdlow was one of the young men a party to this, as well as the other people in this series I've done since number 73. 72 series of this series I'm doing on the Bible, and I did the Gospel of St. Mark, which had a lot of interesting things in there relative to this conversation, with Jesus casting out unclean spirits, multiplying bread and wine to feed 4,000 when you only had 2 fish and 3 loaves, seeing the future, what would happen when he told Peter that 3 times you're going to deny me. So in number 72, my next one will be on the Gospel of St. Matthew. So it's all these magical, psychic things that happen even in the Bible that matches everything else with this other occultic mystery school of Babylon information. And prior to that, number 66 of this series, which is an interesting number, 66, is when I started the Zionist information, going through several books from 66 to 71. So I'm kind of trying to set a pattern here of information disclosure. So from 66 to 71 was the Illuminati, Israel, Zionism, all that books. 72 was the Bible, because there is a book by the Kabbalah people, the 72 names of God. So that's why I thought of that. And then from 73 up to 81, and probably a couple more, I'm going to continue on with this Philadelphia Experiment, Project Montauk, Preston Nichols, Peter Moon, Duncan Cameron, Stewart Swerdlow, and some of the other ones you've seen. That ancient underground facility they discovered in Romania, Transylvania, Sunrise. There's a lot of crazy information here. In the series, Freemasonry and Satanism. Satanism, apparently you could exchange that word for Lucifer, or snake, or reptilian. Freemasonry, Mystery School of Babylon, could also be Rosicrucian, witchcraft, Illuminati, Zionism, Vatican with all their mystery knowledge they have, Jesuits, Hollywood and all the symbolism there, the newspapers and media, TVs and shows, and all the other mind control, deception. Freemasonry and Satanism. I could have made the title a really long one, but it wouldn't fit. So the Montauk, direct descendants of the Atlanteans, who call their leader Pharaoh, were systematically eliminated. So apparently when Atlantis sank, of course off towards the west was North and South America, and towards the east were Egypt, Africa, Europe, and all that. And these beings from Atlantis, apparently, from my research, who have some godlike history about them, genetics, eugenics, hybrid creatures, as we have all seen in mythology, half man, half horse, half lion, half fish, half man, half snake, half man. What kinds of crazy thing? Half horse, half man. And apparently when the Atlanteans brought these eugenics, genetic manipulation, cloning stuff with them when they left Atlantean area, they had a lot of resistance from the citizens there who thought it was gruesome. The Rothschilds were aggressively involved in the slave trade from Africa. We know, if you've been doing any research, there were a lot of Jewish people who were in charge of ownership of the slave trade. So one wonders if these Jewish people who are in charge of everything are not part of these reptilian DNA creatures, or working for them. And what is with their religion of the Kabbalah and magic, and all this other sexual deviancy that seems to go on? According to Rabbi Marvin Antelman and Henry Macow in his book, Illuminati, the Cult That Hijacked the World. My previous videos support all of my book reviews by famous authors, including Albert Pike himself, Aleister Crowley, the evilest man alive, the Bible. That's why I read all these books. So the Rothschilds were importing slaves to North and South America as well as the Caribbean. They were careful not to import blacks from the eastern areas of Ethiopia or Sudan, where the descendants of Solomon were located. So Ethiopia was apparently where the Ark of the Covenant is located or was located. And were some kind of descendants of King Solomon. And they are planning and working towards rebuilding King Solomon's temple now. All kinds of archaeological digs going on in the Middle East, and you see newspaper clippings about it all the time, magazines or videos. And during the Iraq War, there's a lot of reporting that the invaders, NATO, Pentagon, Israel, made a beeline to the museums to get the artifacts. So what are these people after? What are they looking for? What do they need? What kind of magic stuff are they looking for? Now remember, the pyramids and the Sphinx and all of that, the Middle East has a lot of ancient history to it, where apparently these pharaohs and leaders ruled. And it appears to me they want to get rid of all the citizens there now, like Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Tunisia, Yemen, all the Arabs. As we all know, they're either being killed or run out of there, secretly shipping them to countries all over the world. I saw one video on where they're having converted UPS planes in the middle of the night, bringing in, I guess, hundreds of Arabs, and buses waiting, taking them to small rural towns throughout Pennsylvania and the United States. We see on the videos also they're sending them all over the Europe. Just saying, something's up. These areas had a pure mixture of Anunnaki and Samian genetics, and the programming desirable for the Illuminati agenda. So is the Illuminati agenda, Agenda 21, now being called Agenda 2030, and if you divide 20 by 30, it equals 666. FYI. The Rothschilds decided that splitting the United States colonies would double their profits, so they politically created and financially supported the Civil War. And I'm saying there were a lot of people in America, in the South, ranch owners, plantation owners, property owners, but they weren't part of these Illuminati families, these reptilian creatures. People into witchcraft and rituals that are gruesome, sacrificing people, drinking blood, eating flesh. So what did the Confederate War also do? It was a convenient way to murder all these families, plantation owners and ranchers and all kinds of things, cattlemen. And who acquired all those properties? Carpetbaggers came down from New York in the north and took control of it all. It had to punish the South for losing the war. Just like World War I, where the New York City Jewish Zionist folks beelined it over to Versailles for the Versailles Treaty to punish Germany for losing World War I. And the punishment was so severe that we crippled the German nation. There was no way they could have ever paid that debt and the control mechanisms. It was all meant to slaughter all those Germans and make them slaves. And also to create conditions that were so horrific that they would rise up again for being oppressed, thus having World War II. So they could politically create and financially supported the Civil War. The Civil War was actually a global ceremonial ritual to bring slavery to its next level. So, you know, when you had slaves, you had to take care of them. You had to feed them, house them. There were laws. But when you freed them and you made them have to go work for money, and then you charged them rent and electricity, cable TV bill, phone bill, food bill, gas bill, insurance bill, mandatory insurance like Obama. People scurrying every day, stressing out, trying to get enough money to make ends meet. It's just another form of slavery. They've got us. Unless we wake up. The Illuminati still consider black people to be second or third class citizens. And we know the Freemasonic lodges don't allow black men into the white lodges. But the white man can go into the black lodge. FYI. Only now the slavery is subtle and masked. Since the Civil War, there have been other staged wars that entrenched the trend towards globalization. The Spanish-American War of 1898 and 1899, as I said earlier, acquired more land for the Illuminati Americans, placing a greater portion of the Earth's surface under the American jurisdiction. Right now, the joke is, you know, America is an empire taking over the world. But as Prime Minister Sharon of Israel said, don't worry about America, we control America. Benjamin Netanyahu in Fink's Bar, look it up, don't believe me, said that they were going to sell off America piece by piece and destroy us, make us into a third world nation. Why? Because they hate us. They're going to make us regret not wanting to be their servants and slaves. Something like that. Look up Benjamin Netanyahu in Fink's Bar. Don't believe me. Prime Minister Sharon of Israel, don't we control America? Just look up those keywords. World War I was designed to change the map of Europe, as well as to test germ and chemical warfare technology for future use. This coincided with the worldwide influenza outbreak, designed to reduce the global population, making control easier. So believe me, they've got these plagues and biological weapons. Leonard Horowitz, AIDS, Ebola. Tells it all. They even went to Alaska a couple times to dig up some frozen bodies of people who died from the Spanish flu because they lost the virus. It was so disastrous, killed so many people, they wanted it back. AIDS, apparently, was supposedly designed to target certain peoples. World War II was a test of the final globalization and extermination projects. It was also designed to test mind control mechanisms, to test the use of fluoride, which deadens brain activity and slows resistance to authority. So I think I'll stop right here and go do a little photo shoot about town. Here's an interesting building with some designs on it. You notice the lion, as we just read about, with the Illuminati, the Rothschild family. And these figures here, the male obviously. Not quite sure if this is a male or female. And these guys blowing the horn. And these guys taking a break from blowing the horn. Downtown Asheville. Some more designs on this building. Obviously bird head. And looks like a lion body with wings. So what is this stuff? What does it mean? Why is it on the building? Bird head, wings, lion body. Here we have some more interesting characters. Trying to figure out exactly who they are in my research. Obviously some Masons right here with their hammers and anvil and a Masonic symbol right there. And again, these figures with the shroud over his head like a hoodie. So all this is tying together. Continuing on with this building, we have this lady here with the wings and apparently adoring this guy. Looks like some kind of male figure. And then there's another one right here. Who are these people? Let's continue to examine this. And here we can clearly see a picture of a face with the sun's rays around it. And to the left we have another female with wings and a torch, like the Statue of Liberty. That's something interesting to ponder. Another figure here, male figure. Who is this character? And here we got one that is man and half fish. Another female with apparent wings. Another figure here. And then of course here we have something that looks like a dragon. Monkey over here. And another lion on this building. Interesting. 1897 or something they built this building. Here's another old building. Just came from this way on that building. And interestingly enough, a lion head on the front of this building. Downtown Asheville, the Vance Monument, an obelisk, which is a phallic symbol in the pagan religion. And according to the material I've been going over in Swerdlow's book, the penis for Pindar, the reptilian. And here is the courthouses in the big downtown area of Asheville, North Carolina. Been living here for a few years. Wanted to get out of the big cities of Orlando and Florida. So there you have it, an obelisk. Interestingly enough, the Georgia USA Guidestones, which detail they want to maintain a worldwide population of 500 million or less. The town nearby has 2 obelisks in this city square. And it seemed like a seriously depressed little town. You can look that up. Georgia USA Guidestones, population reduction. Part of the United Nations Agenda 21, sustainability, biodiversity, and Agenda 2030, and so much more. Here's an interesting older building. And if you look way towards the top, we've got some dragons. Draco, Rothschilds, Pindar. Strange. And if we look off this way, we have the obelisk. My lighting's getting bad here. which is apparently the phallic unit for Pindar. And if we look off this way, we have the courthouse with the dome, which represents the female womb in the pagan religions. So you have the female womb in the dome, Washington Capitol building dome, the dome at the Vatican. And of course you have the phallic unit, the penis. And in the middle you've got the dragons. You can't make this stuff up. Downtown Asheville, there's your obelisk, the phallic unit. The dome symbolizes the womb. And the dragon on the building. Dragons. At the bottom of the building, they have this little monument here. And these tools look like Masonic tools, masons. And apparently a little lamb here. Just stuff to investigate. There is a comment section. If you've got anything to add to my research, I would appreciate it. I notice these symbols a lot. The little circles with the petals. And it reminds me of crop circles. And up here you got the little symbols. All over town they have these things. Back then they were into that. Even on the top they have those. Just another vantage point from this building with the dragon gargoyles on top of the building. There's one on each corner, 4 of them. And then of course the dome on the courthouse. If you look at what that means, at the Vatican they have the painting and everything, and here's the obelisk, the phallic symbol, or Pindar's phallic unit. Downtown Asheville, North Carolina. I've noticed this in a lot of the downtown cities around the country, even Santa Fe when I was there. I just love these old buildings. 1894, Asheville Fish Company, agent for Cape Fish Company, Boston, Mass. So as you can see, back then they built a lot of buildings here, downtown Asheville. All the old buildings. It was a prosperous area, 1894, and remember, 1913 is when the Rothschilds took over the Federal Reserve, or created the Federal Reserve, a private enterprise that took over the money controls of the USA. Hence, they controlled the financial collapse, bubbles, depressions, several of them to probably make a lot of money. That would be a member of the Illuminati families, all the way from the Rothschilds up to Pindar, maybe. Just things to observe. Historic downtown. Another old building downtown Asheville. Looking up the street here, Broadway. Noticing the date on the top of the building, 1914. Remember, it was June 1914 that World War I started, 6 months after 1913, when the Rothschilds, in cahoots with President Woodrow Wilson, created the Federal Reserve, taking over America's money supply. Somebody financed this building back then, and a lot of these buildings, including this unusual building, the Masonic Lodge, which we will look at. Downtown Asheville. Very interesting old buildings. I enjoy investigating them. The Masonic Temple. I remember they call Israel churches temples. On top it says the Scottish Rite Cathedral. We'll look at it from another angle. But interestingly enough is this plaque over here. 1913. That would have been the year that the Rothschild Rockefeller people created the Federal Reserve in cahoots with President Woodrow Wilson, took over the America's money supply. Hence, we no longer became a free nation in control of our own money. I think several presidents were probably destroyed or killed for wanting to coin America's money. And this apparently is the Hebrew calendar date on the temple, 5913 compared to 1913. Another view of the Scottish Rite Cathedral. Noticing on top the Freemason symbol and the double-headed eagle was the symbol for Russia's flag also. And the words Scottish Rite Cathedral, and also noticing these columns. And the big presentation platform there, I guess if someone were speaking, one at the top and one below. Also, if you look up Donald Trump's condo in New York City, you'll notice the columns inside his condo. Very much like a Freemasonic temple, which I think is kind of interesting. So there you have it. There's one of these in every town. Orlando, they're around every corner, little lodges. Freemasons, Illuminati, Rosicrucians, Mystery School of Babylon, Symbolism. Rick Marrico investigating. An old Catholic church, downtown Asheville. St. Lawrence Basilica. And I'm continuing to research this building and the characters standing on top of it. And the symbols. There's your domes. Apparently representing the feminine. And the pillars we saw on the Freemasonic Lodge are on the building. And again, in Donald Trump's condo in New York City. Take a look and see if you don't see a lot of this stuff. Just saying. Washington, D.C., Boston, your town probably. These symbols are everywhere. Another old building here in Asheville. Kind of a retirement building for elderly people. But what I notice are these plaques with no faces on them. It just makes me wonder what they represent. The hidden god, Lucifer? Something to be coming with the New Age and a new one-world religion? And here behind me is another famous building, and they got these lions called griffins with wings. Strange. And if you look up here, we got the sheep's head. And it gets stranger. You got the Freemasonic little symbols. There's one. And another one. Let's see if I can get a good picture. Little Masons. No mistaking it. The lambs. So the symbolism is everywhere. It's called the Grove Arcade Building. They used it as a military office during the war. Then they turned it back over to the city. The Grove Arcade Building. The Grove Arcade Building. Interesting plaques. I'm trying to decipher what these mean. You can see the fleur-de-lis, the star. It looks like a knight's helmet on top. And you got these faces, these creatures. So all I can do is call them a creature. These guys look like little demons. Wings, demonic faces. Remember, we're talking about reptilians, Illuminati, involving Satanism, witchcraft. Secret Mystery School of Babylon. What do they know? What are we seeing here? I think I'll just take a video of a few of these plaques. Walk down the hall and look at some of these creatures up on the top. The Grove Arcade Building, historic building in Asheville. The plaques must mean something. This one here, you can clearly see the knight's head with the helmet on it and the little creature on top. Here we got a crown. GA. And another creature up here. Okay, who is this character? The Grove Arcade Building. And the plaques. Looks like a fleur-de-lis planter. They use the fleur-de-lis on the symbol for France. It's an occultic symbol. And plenty of these little creature faces all over the building. Even on the top, little heads. Just makes me wonder. And I'm sure with my investigation, I'll get to the bottom of it. Another old building. They got these plaques up here with no face on them. If you had a picture frame, wouldn't you put a picture in it? So I'm just wondering, is it a hidden name for God? Masonic symbolism. They're searching for the hidden name of God. Just saying. Interesting question. Another old building. More curious symbols. Plaques. Shields. And the shell design is a popular Masonic symbol. See the shell? Here's a storefront downtown Asheville. And there's Shiva, the symbol out in front of CERN, the goddess of destruction. And notice the Hindu, the Buddhist symbol, the elephant, has many arms, like the Shiva, the Hindu religion, has many arms. Interesting little store with all kinds of stuff inside. And some more buildings with symbols on them. Downtown Asheville. More crazy stuff in the window. Looks like a crazy beast there. Chinese dragon. Is it? Just another view of some of the old buildings in downtown Asheville. This one's in 1909. Another old building. Interesting symbols. Looks like a dragon right there. There's a creature right there. And the Maltese cross right there. More crazy symbols. 1929 building. Dragons everywhere. You got some lambs on top of this building, and more nameless plaques. And down here we have more dragons. Dragons everywhere. And plaques. An old Woolworths building with some different variations of seemingly the fleur-de-lis. And over here, an old building with another plaque. You can see these on old post office and federal buildings also. All right, January 25th, Monday. So I want to do the second part of this video. Snow in downtown Asheville is going away, but you can see in the sky the sky spraying material. They've been dumping chemicals in the sky all day today. Crazy. That photo shoot was kind of interesting. There were some common denominators I noticed. Lions, dragons, gargoyles, evil creatures with wings, half man, half fish, shells. When I was narrating, when I reviewed all those short videos I took, there were a lot of shells. Shells are one of the satanic symbols in the Mystery School of Babylon religion. And if you go look into it and watch some other videos or read some books, you will find that. Trying to get the lighting of this video to work here. Downtown Asheville. So those symbols certainly show us that those videos I took, the fleur-de-lis, the lions everywhere, dragons of all kinds, including gargoyles, like I just said. Something is up. Something's going on in our society behind the scenes, like a satanic religion. Something's going on that most people don't know about. So I'm going to try to finish up this book here for this video, what portion I'm going to do. Blue Blood, True Blood. Go buy the book. Funny how the lighting gets better when I do this. A Personal Story by Stewart Swerdlow. I've been reading this book every day lately, and it's just completely mind-boggling. Go get the book. So where we left off before I went on the photo shoot was I said that World War II was a test for the final globalization and extermination projects. And we're talking about Illuminati, reptilians. So I took a tour around town, and there were no lack of reptilians, dragons, and other creatures, gargoyles, and horrible looking faces and shields and clams, shells or something. So also World War II was to experiment with slave labor camps and study the development of resistance and to teach the masses to spy and report on one another. And I notice when I say anything in the public, friends, when I go out about some of this stuff, they get incensed. They get defensive. How dare you say anything bad about Bush? How dare you say anything bad about Hillary? The Clintons. The people are so engrossed in their own world, whether they're a Democrat or a Republican. They can't see what's really going on. Even the football game. People wearing the Carolina shirts or the other team. even in the Patriots game in Denver. It's like the football is like a religion to these people. Meanwhile, they don't see the dragons downtown and the gargoyles and all the evil faces and creatures with wings. World War II brought three primary goals of the Illuminati to fruition. The first was that hidden Illuminati symbolisms were brought to public attention from the underground strongholds in Tibet and Egypt, such as the swastika and the Ankh. That would be the cross with the circle on top. The second was the creation of the State of Israel as a foundation for the New World Religion. This book. Got tons of material. I'm only doing one chapter here. The last was the creation of nuclear weapons as part of the Illuminati global ceremony. During World War II, the Germans helped to perfect sex slaves as a means of transmitting information amongst the elites. There's plenty of videos on YouTube. One was that Arizona Wilder with David Icke. Many others. People who have escaped the clutches of the mind control Illuminati, black op programs, secret services. I'm sure there's some good people even in the CIA, FBI, and other secret services. But largely there seems to be a lot of devious people operating behind the scenes with an agenda. Sex slaves can be either male or female who are sexually programmed using Wilhelm Reit's procedures, which are illegal in the United States, but used by the Illuminati and the government in this book. These sex slaves deliver messages and keep programmed sleepers in line. The sex slaves is downloaded with a message or function through various sexual acts and drugs, which can only be released by repeating the same sexual act with the target or person to be activated. So they do target people that are opposed to the New World Order or want to expose all these goings-on of the New Age, the destruction of America and Christianity and other good people all over the world. They use these programmed slaves. For example, maybe in D.C. they'll get one of the programmed women to have sex with a high-level politician. And then, of course, somebody will take some pictures or somehow expose it and then blackmail the politician. In recent years, several women have come forward claiming to be sex slaves of globally recognized political figures. Many were used as information couriers between high-level male Illuminati. Usually lookalikes of the political figures are used in the incipient programming as a focal point for sex slaves. Many times the slaves become sexually promiscuous, repeatedly having sex with people who look like the intended target. It is a sad life. By the end of World War II, one of the three major Illuminati global rituals was accomplished. That was the nuclear explosion that took place in 1945 in Japan at the 33rd parallel as a test for a nuclear attack. Moving on, I'm only reading my highlighted portions, not all of this. This is not a book audio. Get the book? Additionally, a cylinder containing material still not explained by the government was trucked into the nuclear explosion testing. This cylinder was made from pure steel and allegedly was the same physical dimensions as the Kabbalah described for the creation of golems. There's some kind of ritual thing with ancient peoples involved here. Hence the mystery school of Babylon and the old religion where they built the pyramid, the Sphinx, the underground facilities in the Himalayas called Shambhala. Then they got an underground facility in Australia called Pine Gap. Dulce in New Mexico, Area 51, White Sands. Apparently, as I've shown in my videos, there's a vast network of underground cities all over the world, facilities. Some of them ancient, like Eric Van Donovich The gold of the gods. We went over that in one of my book reviews. Huge caverns sliced out of the inside of the mountains, high up in the Andes, with step levels down all the way to the Pacific, under the Pacific, and came up on an adjoining island. Machu Picchu, all those lines. Many, many, many ancient monuments. Baalbek with those gigantic stones bigger than school buses or buildings. Quarried from miles away. King Solomon's Temple. The six-sided star, the ring he had, which he could bring forth demons. Makes one wonder about these aliens, UFOs, that are apparently reptilian. And we saw all the dragons downtown Asheville on that little 2-hour walk I took before the 2 games NFL football. I just walked about town, looked at some of the buildings to make those videos. What are they doing there? Obelisk, the phallic symbol, the domes representing the feminine. Kabbalah is ancient Hebrew metaphysics that has been a staple for the Illuminati for millennia. Golems are artificial beings that are used as a slave force. Could that possibly be the gray aliens? Aleister Crowley, who drew a picture of Hiawas that looks like a gray alien? It is highly probable that this was a symbolic ritual for the creation for a society of golems. I do believe they want to redesign humanity and people. World War II also allowed the European-American Illuminati to destroy the Japanese Illuminati's desires for global domination. So apparently there's these 13 Illuminati families under the control of the Pindar, the one with the highest level of reptilian DNA, who may not be able to transform into a human. But those 11, 13, 12 Illuminati families are vying for control for certain portions of the planet. Maybe one family like the Rothschilds will want to control the United States. Another family will want to control South America. Another family will want to control the European Union. Another family, China. Another family, Russia. And they want to enslave the population. The Japanese royal family, represented by Emperor Hirohito, have always been ostracized as non-legitimate by the royal ruling 13 families. The Japanese claim to be direct descendants of Lemuria, pure-blood reptilians. You saw the dragons of the pictures I took downtown. You can't make that stuff up. The European-American Illuminati claim that the Japanese Illuminati are descendants of a lower species of the Draco hierarchy. This lower species is considered a worker class without any political clout or influence. And that's what these elites around the world, Freemasonic people, Rosicrucian, Zionists, Jesuits, occultists, Kabbalists, Hollywood, banksters, CEOs, they think we humans are the lower level to be ruled and enslaved. Or as H.G. Wells said, animals that couldn't be trusted. On January 17, 1994, Japan sent a seismic event to California. So I think they're using these HARP systems and other systems and having some kind of battle while the rest of us think that some of these calamities are just normal events. Exactly 1 year later, on January 17, 1995, the city of Kobe, Japan was seismically destroyed. Kobe was the home of the Japanese electromagnetic weaponry centers. So apparently these groups all over the world are developing these high-tech weapons. I think Judy Wood, in the book Where Did the Buildings Go on 9/11, seems to be theorizing that some kind of high-powered energy weapons were used to vaporize those buildings, which did vaporize right in front of our faces. The European American Illuminati will not tolerate thorns in their sides. The destruction of Japan and its royal family will continue in the coming months. Every year, the Illuminati hold meetings to plan the events of the coming year to accomplish their main objective, formulated millennia ago by global control and domination. For global control and domination. In the 1850s, they pinpointed their target date for the completion domination with the agenda called Plan 2000. We all know they were prophesizing the doom and gloom of 2000. It didn't happen. They were off schedule. This has since been revised to 2003. The fiasco election of George W. Bush to office is a key sign that they are on target. The public lesson of the United States presidential election of 2000 is that the citizens do not vote for anyone. We all should know that. Even the Illuminati are finding it increasingly difficult to conceal their plans. That's why I did that little tour downtown, just taking the pictures. This next chapter, I really can't read because it's too horrible. Blood, ritual, and ceremony. If you want to pause this and read it, have at it. But I will read the last portion of it. Alright, then I'll be through with this video. So this is blood, ritual, and ceremony. There's some horrific stuff in here. If Stewart Swerdlow is telling us the truth, all I can say is, oh my. But here we go. You know, I took the videos when I walked around town. There were dragons and lions and people, sinister-looking characters, evil demonic beings, funny-looking scary heads. So page 77. There's an ominous number, 77. Other global transmissions designed to instill respect and non-violence towards reptilians include programs teaching children that reptilians are their friends. There are a vast number of such programs, with the Flintstones, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Barney, Pokemon, and among the more well-known. Even the infamous Teletubbies, brought direct from Babylon, Dawn, London. So Babylon has something to do with London, is designed to subliminally program young children with its mindless babble. Each of the four androgynous Teletubbies wears an archetype symbol on its head. This is a DNA sentence that translates to the activation from space to create robots. We know if you watch TV, there's all kinds of mind control. The program also depicts a living baby surrounded by radiating sunburst, a reptilian's religious symbol. So you look at a lot of corporate logos and they got the sunburst and the rays behind it. Even the Obama symbol has the rays like a rising sun. The baby at the center of the sun indicates that this baby is a sacrifice to the sun god. Like I said, I didn't want to go through the past few pages, but it graphically describes the sacrifices, the rituals. Too horrific for me to read. I read it once. See, I highlighted everything. The numerous satanic worship cults in the USA, Canada, and Western Europe are fronts for the Illuminati screening system to identify citizens that would make unquestionably robotic soldiers. That's their aim. Perpetrators who perform the most heinous crimes against the human body and spirit without a thought are the ones recruited as henchmen and women for the Illuminati service. In low-income black communities where drugs and murder are common, Watchful eyes identify those gang members and drug dealers who are without morals or regard for anyone. These become the assassins and expendable couriers for the Illuminati agenda within the public sphere. There is even a group of black women hired as assassins called the Dark Angels. They travel internationally to eliminate selected targets. Victims are often left headless and handless, cut off their hands, indicating the victim was considered a non-person, as well as the superiority of the killers. There's some stuff here I can't even read that they do to people. Police departments and the FBI, as well as all intelligence agencies, are completely controlled by the Illuminati and their hierarchy. Most of the time, key clues and symbols found at the murder scene are not publicly revealed. Most police chiefs are Masons. Remember, this whole series is Freemasonry and Satanism. And certainly the Illuminati reptilians, satanic Luciferians, it's mentioning here Masons. So this whole series of book reviews I'm going over is quite applicable to the evil forces operating behind the scenes. Is it true? The six-pointed star on the police badge originates in ancient Israel in the time of King Solomon and literally means as above, so below. While this is generally understood to represent spiritual values applied to the earth, the Masonic interpretation is that the Illuminati will control the earth as gods. Like I said, there were several pages there I just couldn't read. Again, get the book if you really want to hurt your brain. King Solomon was an Illuminati. Remember, this is the Zionist Jewish folks right now, destroying all the people in the Middle East, overthrowing the countries, murdering the people, and the other ones they're making to flee for their lives to Europe and America. Even UPS converted some planes and shipping them in the middle of the night, buses waiting, and depositing them in small rural towns in Pennsylvania and elsewhere, as reported in the news that I read and showed on some of my videos. So apparently King Solomon was part of the ancient Egyptian cult. Mystery School of Babylon. Look up William Cooper, Bill Cooper. The Mystery School of Babylon. Watch some of his videos. Many other people have made videos. This information is getting out. There is a sort of an awakening. Like I said, I went downtown and didn't take much effort to find pictures of reptilian characters and lions, which is on their coat of arms, their crest, like the Rothschilds. Look it up. And that one plaque I saw downtown, half man, half fish, the Rothschilds in his front yard, in his gigantic fountain, has half man, half fish. And on the Masonic Temple I showed you with those columns, I failed to mention that when we took a video of that church, there were columns that I mentioned. If you go look up Donald Trump's condo downtown New York, there are all those Masonic columns. Just saying, it's everywhere. So King Solomon combined his Hebrew genetics with the Queen of Sheba, creating an ancestry mixture of Syrian, Anunnaki, and Lyrians. When the queen left Israel, she was pregnant with Solomon's child. Her descendants, Emperor Haile Selassie, called himself the Lion of Judah. I remember the snake is the symbol for the Zionist Jewish people. His official symbol was the lion. So we see the snake and the lion, even in those videos I took of downtown. In the 1980s, Israel instigated the separation of the province of Eritrea from Ethiopia because the Ark of the Covenant was located in Eritrea for safekeeping. Israel created this war between Ethiopia and Eritrea as a cover for the Israelis to remove the Ark back to Egypt. So we know they overthrew Egypt, attacked Iraq, immediately invaded the museum looking for artifacts. Afghanistan, Ukraine. Now they're trying desperately to take down Assad in Syria. And they're feeding the public, all of us, mind-controlled information, saying Assad is gassing his people. And many other crazy things. So anyways, just finish up this video here. Mr. Swerdlow says in this book, page 78, the AIDS virus was ritually released. The AIDS virus was ritually released. First, the AIDS virus was tested on a terminally ill patient in St. Louis, Missouri. Then Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in 1968. The last name of the alleged assassin, James Earl Ray, is a synonym for Ray. In Spanish, Ray translates into king. To the Illuminati, the white king killed the black king, assuring them of victory. After the black king was killed, they released the virus into Africa and Haiti to complete the ritual. This book was published when? 2002. So a lot of us now, today, 2016, January 25th, are aware of a lot of other goings-on, and apparent ritual killings, crisis actors, shooters going into churches full of black people, marathons, movie theaters, Sandy Hook, 911. Many of them, these murders over in Europe, over and over. They're doing all these terrorist situations. And then they tell us in the news they're going to have to resolve the issue of the terrorist situation by increasing the police control and gun control for our citizens. You don't think there's a plan? All of these ritualistic activities are examples of the twisted activities at Montauk. Remember, this series is about Montauk, the end of Long Island, abducting young boys, mind-controlling them, the Philadelphia experiment, where apparently they made the ship disappear and reappear elsewhere, and a lot of other insane black op programs. And other military installations, as well as castles, churches, private mansions, caves, tunnels, government buildings, and energy centers all over the world, they are performing ritualistic activities. So go look in your downtown and see if you got some of these reptilian, lion, seashell, columns, Freemasonic temples, evil gargoyle-looking creatures, etc., etc. Why are they there? What does it all mean? Thank you for watching my video Rick Miracle reporting.